Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Today I would like to tell you about pronunciation. So without any further ado, let's just get started. So now I would like to tell you about vowel, and the first one is E. For example, C. Next one, the second one is E. For example, happy. The next one is E. For example, big. Next one is E. For example, 10. Next one is A. For example, cat. Next one is A. For example, father. Next one is O. For example, God. Next one is A. For example, cup. Next one is O. For example, saw. Next one is U. For example, put. Book. Next one is U. For example, actual. Next one is U. For example, two and two. Next one is O. For example, God. The last one is for example, fur. So next, I would like to tell you about diphthong, and the first one is A. For example, say, they, lay. Next one is I. For example, why, my, mine. Next one is O. For example, go, no. Next one is all. For example, cow. Now and how. Next one is oi. For example, boy, toy, joy. Next one is ear. For example, near, year, and here. Next one is air. For example, hair. And the last one is yo. For example, pure and sure. Next, I would like to tell you about consonant. So the first one is P. For example, pick. Next one is T. For example, two or two. Next one is K. For example, kick. Next one is T. For example, church. Next one is F. For example, fan. Next one is Th. For example, thin. Next one is Sh. For example, shoe. Next one is S. For example, six. Next one is B. For example, big. Next one is D. For example, do. Next one is G. For example, gig. Next one is J. For example, jump. Next one is V. For example, voice. Next one is the. For example, then. Next one is Z. For example, zoo. Next one is H. For example, happy. Next one is L. For example, long. Next one is M. For example, money. Next one is N. For example, nine. Next one is S. For example, song. Next one is Y. For example, yellow. And the last one is W. For example, wood. And next, I would like to read this text. The title is The Fable of the Preacher Who Flew His Kite, but not because he wished to do so. A certain preacher became wise to the fact that he was not making a hit with his congregation. The parishioners did not seem inclined to seek him out after services and tell him he was a pansy. He suspected that they were rapping him on the quiet. The preacher knew there must be something wrong with his talk. He had been trying to expound in a clear and straightforward manner, committing foreign quotations, setting up for illustration of his points such historical characters as were familiar to his hearers, putting the stubby old English words ahead of the Latin and rather flying low along the intellectual plane of the aggregation that chipped in to pay his salary. But the pew holders were not tickled. They could understand everything he said, and they began to think he was common. So he studied the situation and decided that if he wanted to win them and make everybody believe he was a nobby and boss minister, he would have to hand out a little guff. He fixed it up good and plenty. On the following Sunday morning, he got up in the lookout and read a text that didn't mean anything, read from either direction, and then he sized up his flock with a dreamy eye and said, "We cannot more adequately voice the poetry and mysticism of our text than in those familiar lines of the great Icelandic poet, Icon Navroj." When the preacher concluded this extract from the well-known Icelandic poet, he paused and looked downward, breathing heavily through his nose, like Camille in the third act. A stout woman in the front row put on her eyeglasses and leaned forward so as not to miss anything. A venerable harness dealer over at the right nodded his head solemnly. He seemed to recognize the quotation. Members of the congregation glanced at one another as if to say, "This is certainly hot stuff. This is certainly hot stuff." The preacher wiped his brow and said he had no doubt that everyone within the sound of his voice remembered that Quarolius had said, following the same line of thought. It was Quarolius who disputed the contention of the great Persian theologian Ramtazuk that the soul. And maybe that's all from me. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.